a question from a member of the public, and that's from Zoe Dainton, who's a Grenfell Tower survivor. Let's take a look.
What will you do as Mayor to ensure that everyone in social housing lives in a safe home? For example, before you grant any funding for planning permissions, will tenants be given the opportunity to see and agree fire safety plans?
Shaun.
This is so important. The power balance in housing is completely wrong. This is true in private renting, but it's also true in social housing. When you listen to people in social housing, they feel patronised. Councils across London are making plans to knock down their homes and replace them with new ones, and they're not giving them the say. They're not giving them the power to come up with those plans themselves. And when things go wrong, as we saw in Croydon recently, tenants are not able to raise these problems and get them solved. My ideas for London are to give social tenants real power. Yeah. We won the power. We won ballots from the current mayor after a very long campaign, after the first draft of his estate guidance said ballots were too binary. We won that. But we need to go a lot further than that. Tenants need real control over their homes, and this is so important.
Sadiq.
Well, I spent a lot of time in Grenfell. I was there last week with the community, and I want to thank Zoe for her question. We have 8,000 tall buildings in London, and some of them are still death traps because the government has failed to take action. In City Hall, what we're doing is any new building must have a proper fire safety plan, must have a proper fire lift, but also must have sprinklers in place. We're also supporting those councils and housing associations to remediate those dangerous buildings. Frankly speaking, though, we can't do it without government support. Okay. And what we're doing is lobbying the government to give more support so these death traps can become safe.
OK, Luisa, how about you?
Well, it's an absolute scandal that still, all these years after Grenfell happened, there are thousands of Londoners trapped in unsafe homes. So what would you do, Luisa? So I would use the existing powers of the mayor to set up a fire risk register. That's something that Sadiq Khan could do right now, and that's what the Liberal Democrats on the London Assembly have been pushing for. I would also ban working with any developers who haven't currently addressed problems in their housing stock.
All right, and finally you, Shaun.
First, you've got to make sure that any building built has a proper fire safety plan. The idea that you put people in the building that 3 or 4 years down the line will be a death trap has to be stopped. Secondly, for leaseholders in particular, we have to force the government to give significantly more financial support.
Why don't you ask them then?
I will do. People's lives are in limbo because they can't sell, they can't pay for working mortgages. Yeah. The government are going to have to step in and back.
This is a scandal caused by the current government. How can we trust you to be any different?
Shaun, we are going to have to move on.